marahil ang mahalaga pong pakilala na gagawin ko dito. Ang ating welcome remarks ay tungkol po kung paano nabuo ang NGs sa ating mga isipan, how we were able to come up with the idea of the National Justice Information System version 2022 to 2024. This came about because when we had just entered office in 2022, and we wanted to set many prisoners free, we could not get the information needed. As at that time, everything was manually operated. Meaning to say, the Bureau of Corrections would scoop up a bunch of documents and throw it out to the Board of Pardon and Parole and Parole Probation Administration and the Board of Pardon and Parole. Meaning to say, we could not have a system of evaluating the data of all those who were being deprived of liberty. So they were all serving sentences, but nothing was coming out of it because there was no organized way of looking at it, and thus we just upon the idea that indeed, if we can just have an information system shared between these different government offices, we could make life better for many of our persons deprived of liberty. And truth to tell, we all know about those cases where people stayed longer than their tenure, their supposed tenure in jail or in prison, and many had become victim to corruption, as those in charge of the correction system would charge amounts so that their carpetas or their records would be transmitted to the Board of Pardon and Parole, and thus these NGs became a commitment to the Department of Justice. And in charge of it is the first non-lawyer Assistant Secretary of the Department of Justice. His name is Arthur Malvar. He's not here right now, but he came from the defense industry abroad, US and Canada and Australia, educated in the digital sciences, and gave his commitment to help out the Department of Justice. And thus, we asked him to design an integrated system for the justice information, so that things could be shared. And we found out later on that there was a lot of benefit to be derived from this. One example would be cases within the Muntinlupa or the Bilibid National Correctional, the new Bilibid prisons, where many of those in prison had several identities and several convictions using different identities. And thus, it was really a challenge for us to make sure that this creativity could not defeat our purpose of achieving justice for all. And thus, this commitment had to face a lot of difficulty. To tell, very hard to fund it until the Gojas people came to our rescue and helped us fund this program. And thus, the NGs was born. And at that time, at the inception, the courts and the executive were not yet that close. That's why I'm very, very elated that, as I've said today twice already, that this is the most accessible Supreme Court we've ever had in my lifetime. And it's something that has been waiting to happen for our country. And at least this time, we know that we can digitally connect with each other when it comes to information sharing, and the information needed from the time that we prosecute people in court to the time that we have to bring them to the corrections facilities. And that is the only proper way to treat our justice system, to make sure that we punish people correctly and not make them suffer a day longer in jail. And that is also one of the things that we wanted to happen with the NGs, with the National Justice Information System. So court congestion is now is improving by leaps and bounds, I would say. We have been able to set free at least 18,000 persons deprived of liberty from the Bureau of Corrections, at least 18,000, and many more have been set free with the DILG from the BJMP, from the Bureau of Jail and Management Penology. And so this time, what really want to happen is to have an integrated look at how the whole justice system works with the sharing of information. So that's how this came about, at least for the Department of Justice during our time. I say NG's 2.0 because this has been attempted before, but it's only working now because people have been resolute and hard-headed and never allowed people like Assistant Secretary Malvar, never allowed the odds to beat him. He just kept plodding on, and then of course, when our friends from Europe noticed, then things began moving more smoothly. So to all of you, this morning is historic for us because it's about time that all of this data sharing and information sharing happened for a system of justice that the people of the Philippines deserve. And I think that's all. Good morning.